New developments in the battle over the Warren settlement in Chico, why one group says the city can't get out of it. No Kings protests continued for the third day in Chico. We'll tell you why hundreds took to the street today. And the Powerball jackpot is soaring. We'll show you what's up for grabs tonight.
Covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now. Coverage you can count on.
We are tracking breaking news. The root fire is burning through at least 80 acres at last report, with now an evacuation order in place, as well as evacuation warnings along the Shasta-Siskiyou County line. So take a look. You can see that zone CST 1070B, you can see it in the map behind me. That's under evacuation order. Siskiyou zones 6200, 6301, and 6203 are under warnings right now. Now this fire is burning west of Castle Crags in the Shasta Trinity National Forest. You're seeing time-lapse video from just after the fire started this afternoon, and it's burned through at least 80 acres so far. We'll get an update for you when it's available. And we're also tracking a fire that broke out near Cottonwood. The Tracy fire is burning in the area of Rancho Estate Lane. It was first reported around 3 this afternoon. It has burned at least 10 acres. There are no evacuation orders or warnings associated with this fire. Continuing our fire coverage now on the Springs fire that broke out this morning in Tehama County. We are told by firefighters that forward progress has been stopped. All evacuation warnings have been lifted. The fire burned 30 acres and at last report is 5% contained. Officials say it hasn't damaged or threatened any buildings, and crews are currently working to make sure nothing flares up. But again, forward progress has stopped. Now, this is a live look from the Alert California Girard Ridge camera back to the root fire that we started this newscast with, and that is a live look right now. Still plenty of smoke coming from that fire. And you see on the right hand of your screen there, the western edge of Castle Crags. This is just west of I-5 up there, and Chief Meteorologist Howie Gordon is tracking conditions for us right now. Howie?
Yeah, we've been on the safer side, but we've also been on the worse side, and I'll try to clear all that up. We're very much on the hot side, and with our higher temperatures, we're drying out a lot faster in the atmosphere. We're drying out that vegetation, what's left of drying out vegetation, because by this time of year, just super hot and super dry as we had in the last few weeks of summer. Now, overall, winds are on the lighter side. A few breezy spots, winds getting kind of squeezed in to the mountain areas, Redding and Red Bluff through the valley. So a little breezier there. I'm tracking some gusts here and there, 23, 24 miles per hour. Overall, winds not that bad, and that's a good or at least a better sign, because those winds a lot of times are the deciding factor in some of our firefights. Now we're dangerously low. 15% or lower, dangerously low amounts of moisture, the relative humidity in the air, and yes, overall, just very much on that dry side. We do have the red flag warnings tomorrow. These will be contingent upon the thunderstorms that might start in the higher elevations tomorrow. And then we have, here's our heat advisory. Those are for the most part to the south of us, down, my bad, to this side over here. Don't point this much on that side as often. But here's a look at our fire danger. So moisture level still low tomorrow. Maybe a little breezier before winds start to come down in a couple of days. Still on that very hot side. So we're going to stick with moderate to borderline high for significant fire risk potential. But we'll address the fire concerns, and eventually we will see a cool down, Alan. We're going to talk all about that in just a few minutes.
Cool downs are good. Thanks, Howie. The battle over the Warren settlement in Chico continues with the plaintiff for the homeless people, or the homeless plaintiffs now are pushing back against the city's latest request to leave or alter the deal. Now, we got our hand on these court documents filed by attorneys on behalf of those who initially launched the lawsuit, and it claims that the settlement agreement is now void and that the city must stick to the agreement. I should say is not void, according to the plaintiffs. Now, we told you last month when Chico filed its own motion with a judge to resolve some issues in the settlement, including whether it only applies to the 8 plaintiffs listed on the lawsuit or the entire Chico homeless community. Another issue brought up by the city, the 7 to 10 day period to clean encampments and the persistent reoccupation of the homeless camps. In the latest 20-plus page filing, the plaintiffs argue that the agreement does not apply to the entire homeless population because it was not pled as a class action, so they are not required to sue as a representative party. They say that the city might regret making the deal, but shouldn't be allowed to change its mind about a voluntary agreement. The Reading Aquatic Center wrapped up its summer season today with one last splash, but for the young lifeguards and staff members, it was also the end of a summer job that gave them more than just a paycheck. Action News Now reporter Jesse Angelo shows us how the season closed up.
Hundreds of people came out to the Reading Aquatic Center on Labor Day for the pool's last day of summer swimming. At a pool that for decades has been a favorite spot for people in Shasta County to come out and beat the hot summer heat. The final day of public swimming at the Aquatic Center featured a carnival-like atmosphere, complete with balloons, games, and face painting. It was also the last day of work for many students who worked at the pool all summer.
I'm just super grateful to have the opportunity to work here every summer.
Lifeguard supervisor Isaac Baker says employment at the Aquatic Center provides students a fun way to earn money during the summer. For Baker, he says the job will help make college life easier.
For college, having this job every summer is going to help offset the cost of university once I transfer.
Recreation coordinator Michelle Corliss, who's been working at the Aquatic Center for 9 years, says working at the pool makes for a perfect first job.
We teach you how to talk to adults, how to talk to customers, how to interact with emergencies, how to plan long term, how to do pretty much everything that you would need to do in a full-time career, with the safety net of it being a part-time summer job.
Corliss says they hire between 30 and 40 youth lifeguards at the pool each summer and says she's proud of everyone who chose to work at the pool.
Almost all of them are brand new and they've excelled exponentially. They've surpassed every single expectation that I've had for them and are just some of the greatest kids that I could have asked for on a team.
While Labor Day does mark the last day of public swimming at the Aquatic Center, they are opening again on September 20th, but this time for dogs. They call it the Puppy Poolooza, and it's exclusively for your four-legged friends. In Reading, Jesse Angelo, Action News Now.
And the Aquatic Center will now reopen next Memorial Day. New at 6, new research indicates that California's wildland-urban interface faces increased fire risk due to spacing and building materials. A study published in Nature Communications looked at recent catastrophes, including the 2018 Camp Fire. Researchers found that spacing between structures and building materials greatly affects survivability during wildfires. Analysis shows that structure hardening and defensible space can reduce fire damage by 52%. Researchers emphasize that community-level mitigation to protect homes from future fires is important. To see the research for yourself, we have a link for you on our website. Just click on the News tab, then News Links. Dozens of people in our region took part in a 3-day No Kings protest. Action News Now reporter Margot Rowe spoke with demonstrators about the message they hope to send.
This Labor Day, while many were enjoying a 3-day weekend, others were part of a 3-day No Kings protest across the West Coast.
We do not want to become a police state. We want to stay a free American democracy where people have the right to express themselves.
Bill Bynum of Orville was one of the dozens who took part this weekend in a West Coast demonstration protesting the Trump administration, including its handling of the war in Ukraine and ICE raids. Many expressed fears of becoming a fascist country.
We're trying to get our message out that we're going to resist any kinds of fascism, any kind of authoritarian power grab. We are appalled, speaking as a veteran, appalled that there are armed National Guard on the streets of Washington, D.C.
Several people told me the local response to the demonstrations have supported their message, but some people passing by did shout and honk in support of the president. Reporting in Chico, I'm Margot Rowe for Action News Now.
There were several No Kings protests and Workers Over Billionaires protests on this Labor Day weekend at locations all over the country. We are on Fire Watch, tracking 2 fires forcing evacuations and burning thousands of acres in Siskiyou County. The Dillon fire broke out about a week ago in the area of the Dillon Mountains in the Klamath National Forest. The fire has burned through more than 6,000 acres. Crews have reached 7% containment on this fire, but there are 6 evacuation orders in place, 7 evacuation warnings as well. We're also tracking the Blue Fire burning just northeast of the Dillon fire. Now, this fire broke out last Tuesday in the area of Blue Mountain east of Happy Camp. The fire has burned over 1,000 acres and is 0% contained. There is 1 evacuation order in place and several warnings as well. You can find a list of all evacuation orders and warnings in our region on our website, actionnewsnow.com, under news links.
They had no idea what they were putting into their bodies, but you can't trust any illegal drugs. You can't trust any dealer.
And that's what I've said. These are not drugs produced by a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
There's no accountability. They can put whatever they want in, or certainly adulterate it to the fact that they're not caring about how they're putting. I mean, they're typically using coffee grinders and things like that to mix drugs. Well, that's really not a way to produce something that's safe. Obviously, that's not their concern.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, they don't care.
Chico City Council member Mike O'Brien speaks on the deadly mass overdose in Chico and continues efforts by the Butte Interagency Narcotics Task Force that he also heads up to prevent this from happening again. More highlights straight from the Source podcast. Want to do more than eat on Thanksgiving? We'll tell you how you can join the 20th annual Run for Food in Chico coming up next. Plus, the jackpot is climbing high and higher. We'll tell you just how high the Powerball is reaching tonight.